Okay, welcome to another edition of Real Estate Investor Talk. Standing with me is Henny Bezuidenhout. Henny, welcome to Real Estate Investor Talk. Henny is in fact our master investor of this particular month. It's a June issue of Real Estate Investor. And Master Investor is all about getting inspiration, information from people that are playing the market. Now, Henny, first of all, we had a wonderful interview last week. And it was very enlightening to see where you started in business and how you actually evolved into property. Do you want to maybe give us a journey of Henny Bezuidenhout, where you started in business, how you got into property, and share some of the successes that you've had?
Thank you very much, Neil, for the opportunity. I think I started off with this really drive to get my own business going.
Right.
And so I had to look at opportunity where I could start without really capital backing me up.
Right.
And so therefore I started off by selling insurance.
Right.
And through that process I got some capital, gained some capital over a period.
Right.
And then I started to invest in more substantial stuff,
Right.
which was related to the medical funding business.
Right.
I built up a business and eventually sold the business, and then from there I went into property.
Right.
That was about now 6-7 years ago.
Right.
Through the process, while I was running the medical business, I've already started investing in property at that stage.
Sure. Tell us a little bit about the property, because you were in medical, and what I liked about your story is that you got in something which is aligned to what you actually had in business, your knowledge in business.
Yeah.
And you almost moved that over to the property field.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've being involved in the medical business,
Yes.
I learn the players in the industry.
Yeah.
I know the way they're thinking.
Yes.
I know where they make their money and who's playing what role in that industry.
Right.
And that's only not relevant towards the medical business, but also
Yes.
relevant in terms of property.
Yes.
You need to know the players,
Yes.
the thinking, the
Right.
opportunities, new things developing, new opportunities opening up.
Right.
And I use that experience to start working in that area and to accumulate properties and buy properties. And my first was to buy properties next to hospitals,
Right.
because I know, if the hospital is providing this service,
Yes.
there's a lot of things that's adjacent or associated with that business,
Right.
and I could see the opportunities opening up, potential tenants that I can use and feed off the core business of hospitals.
So what kind of property was it? Just elaborate a little bit.
That
Yeah.
was properties just adjacent to hospitals.
Was it a
And
commercial?
That was
residential?
commercial properties just
Right.
adjacent to hospitals.
Okay.
And we entered into agreement with in this particular case, one of the major hospital groups.
Right.
They've got their core business, but there's a lot of other businesses that feed off the core business of the hospital, and I started to develop those and make opportunities available next to the hospital for those players.
Fantastic. And you've rolled this out now. You've taken this model and you've almost like rolled it
Yeah.
out.
I've
around
rolled
the
it out, got involved in other opportunities similar to that one. I understand that marketplace now, and I could see, and I've built up a relationship with potential tenants, and
Right.
obviously if they're successful in one area, they all want to duplicate into other areas.
Yeah.
That we've moved now a little bit forward, and there's opportunity now with the national health insurance national scheme coming up,
Right.
that there would be other opportunities in terms of facilities, and we've moved into that, which is in this particular case, day hospitals or day clinics.
Fantastic. So that gave you a basis to build your wealth, and then also now you ventured offshore. Was that your next move after the day clinic business?
Yeah, definitely. I think
And what made you make the decision to move offshore? 'Cause I
Yeah,
think that's
well,
quite important.
risk diversification.
Right.
I think it's
Okay.
very important in terms of your portfolio to also diversify in other areas.
Right.
The world has become a small place, and
Yes.
there's risk in each region, each country.
Right.
And I mean, to smooth that out, I think it's important that you also go into other areas.
Right.
There's currency risks, there's political risks, there's all sorts of risks.
Right.
And I think it's just a good strategy, investment strategy, to also be involved in other areas, in other parts of the world, in other countries, in other continents.
So that was 2006. So what venture did you move in offshore? Was it residential properties? What kind of, was it developments? What did you get involved?
well, we looked at that in a lot of detail, Neil.
Yes.
I think a lot of people lost money by trying just to go overseas and try to invest.
Yeah.
And so we worked hard, and we, spent time in different countries, and we looked at properties,
Right.
we looked at potential partners, and through that whole process, we've learned a lot of very valuable lessons.
Right. Tell us some of those lessons, because I think those lessons are key, because this is what the people want to hear.
Yeah.
They want to learn what those lessons are, and I think you've got some wisdom here
Yeah.
to share with the readers and the viewers out there.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about those lessons.
Yeah, the first lesson was fly in, fly out never works.
Right. Okay.
True to property,
Yes.
location,
Yes.
partnerships,
Right.
understanding the industry
Yes.
in that particular area that you want to play is very important. You can
Right.
never gain that experience and learn the lessons and have the knowledge that's necessary by going in and out.
Right.
So that was
Okay.
the first thing.
Okay.
You must get a partner on ground in a particular area
Right.
that really understands that the business that you want to enter into, and have the local knowledge that is so critical to good investment. Secondly, we have decided we only invest if the citizens of that particular country also invest. We don't want to buy the stuff and invest in stuff which they don't want.
Right.
And the best
Yeah.
way to make sure that it's a good thing, get them to co-invest with you.
Yeah.
That was the second step, which we think was very important in our success. Thirdly, we've tried to take the risk out of these investments.
Okay. How do you do that? Because I think that's a key thing.
Well, we did it by only getting involved. Our overseas partners need to identify the land.
Yes.
They need to buy the land,
Right.
get all the rights, get the funding in place, and get the pre-sales sorted out.
Right.
Once they've done all that,
Yes.
then we only invest.
Okay.
Because they're the local guys, they need to lead,
Yes.
and they need to show us where to go.
Right.
And fortunately, we were lucky to find guys that are prepared to do that. And once they've done that, we go invest with them, because we want to be part of the action and just not passive investors once they've completed the development to buy off plan or to buy the complete product.
Right.
The completed product. So we got involved with them,
Yes.
and we went through this process, and it worked very, very well for
Right.
us.
Where did you invest? And how many developments? Because there's quite a few. I mean, you started off with one, and then you rolled out quite a
That's
few
right,
developments.
Yeah, and I think we've got a lot of South Africans that co-invest with us,
Right.
which is also important.
Yes.
I think the other critical thing is that you need to have a critical mass.
Yes.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
with the South African money, you can only buy in smaller areas or
Right.
cheaper areas. With a lot of people going with you, you create sort of a fund idea, more
Yes.
money, you accumulate and you get partners,
Right.
and jointly you can do more than on your own. So we've started in Australia,
Right.
in Queensland.
Okay. That was 2006,
2006. From there on, we
What
started
was the
the
currency?
investment.
What is the currency?
The currency at that
dollar?
stage, if
Yeah.
I remember correctly, was about R4.50 to the
Wow.
Australian dollar.
And it's today around about £8.
R8.50,
Yeah.
more or less that area. So
Yeah.
it's almost double in the 5
Wow.
years that we are involved.
Wow. So just on pure currency return,
Yeah.
there's a fantastic return. Yeah.
Fantastic, yeah.
Yeah.
So we started that in 2006, our investigation.
Right.
That's the other very important thing. Don't go rush in there. Don't decide to invest when the currency is weakening
Right.
or there's a crisis.
Yes.
Overseas investment is never a crisis investment.
Right.
Take 2 to 3 years to plan it properly.
Okay.
We've done that, and we did our first investment, I think, in about 2008-9.
Right.
3 years after, 2.5 years after we started.
Okay.
And so we started in an area in the northeast of Queensland, and which is a mining area,
Right.
a lot of mining. And although the world economy was weak, there were growth pockets in Australia as well. So
Right.
we went to those growth pockets where there was industrial or mining development.
Right.
So we started off in Queensland,
Okay.
in Townsville,
Right.
and then we moved now to in the last year or so to Brisbane itself.
Fantastic. Where's your next move? Because you've done a lot. You've been offshore. You've done, local, commercial, local. You've also, I know you in entry-level housing development, or let's say affordable housing. And where's the next? Where do you think is the next opportunity moving forward?
Yeah, well, I think the other lesson that I've learned in this process is that, yes, Australia was at that stage a good market to go into.
Right.
But I think, as things develop in the world,
Yes.
the countries also go up and down in terms of opportunities.
Right.
And I think the next opportunities would be in Europe
Right.
and in the United States.
Okay.
So we would also like to balance our exposure,
Right.
not in one country, but in different countries, because opportunities opening up in different countries at different times.
So you're basically going to use those same principles that you use to invest in Australia, in Europe, and in the United States.
Definitely. It worked for us, and
Yeah.
I think that is a recipe that you need to follow.
And if that's something that works, you just repeat it over and over again until there's a problem.
That's right.
Henny, it's been fascinating. Just in summation, just maybe give some words of wisdom to people that maybe are investing, first of all, for the first time, and also for the first time offshore, and maybe just some general tips to somebody. What can
Yeah,
you
I think
give
the first one I've
yeah.
already mentioned. I think
Yeah.
don't allow your overseas investment to be crisis investment.
Right.
Don't wait until you see the rand is free falling,
Yes.
and then you want to invest in a month or two.
Right.
Do your homework.
Yes.
Choose your partners right. Make sure that there's an opportunity. Quantify the opportunity,
Yes.
and then make the investment.
Right. Right.
Take the risk out as far as possible.
Right.
That's very important.
Fantastic. Henny, it's been fantastic chatting to you. It was wonderful doing the interview. It was great insights. You can read the article in the June edition of Real Estate Investor. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks, Neil,
Henny,
for having me.
Have a nice chat. Thank you.